When was the last time nobody on Earth knew where you were? Think about it. Not nobody was paying attention. I mean nobody could find you. No location ping, no last seen, no read receipt, no way for anyone, your partner, your mom, your boss, your friends, to know where you were or reach you if they wanted to. For most of you, the honest answer is years ago. Maybe not since before you owned a smartphone. Maybe not since you were a teenager. Because right now, this second, you are findable, trackable, reachable. There's a device within 3 feet of you that can tell the world where you are, that you're awake, that you've seen the message, and roughly how rude you're being by not replying to it. You have not been truly unreachable in a very long time, and I don't think we've understood what we gave up when we made that trade. This is a video about the lost ability to disappear. There was a time when leaving the house meant leaving. You walked out the door, and that was it. You were gone. Not in a dramatic way, in a completely ordinary, everyday way. Your mom didn't know exactly where you were. Your friends couldn't reach you. If someone wanted to talk to you, they had to wait until you came back. And that was normal. That was just how it worked, for everyone. If the phone rang while you were out, it rang in an empty house. Nobody picked it up. The person calling would shrug and try again later. There was no anxiety about it. No, why aren't they answering? You weren't answering because you weren't there. And everyone understood that being not there was a thing a person was simply allowed to be. You'd tell your parents, "I'm going to Mike's," and then for the next 5 hours you were somewhere in the general vicinity of Mike's, doing God knows what, and nobody could confirm it, and that was fine. You could get on a bike and ride until the streets stopped being familiar. You could drive somewhere with nobody knowing your route. You could sit in a park, a library, a diner, and for that whole stretch of time, you existed off the map. Nobody could see you. Nobody could reach you. You were, for those hours, completely your own. And here's the thing we didn't notice at the time. Being unreachable wasn't lonely. It was freedom. Those hours when nobody could find you, they belonged to you, completely. You weren't on call. You weren't waiting for anything. You weren't half present, glancing at a device to see who needed you. You were just there, wherever you were, fully, with no thread running back to everyone else's needs. That kind of solitude is almost impossible to find now. And it's worth being precise about why. Because there's a difference between being alone and being unreachable, and we only kept one of them. When you were unreachable, your solitude was innocent. You weren't ignoring anyone. You simply could not be reached. Nobody was waiting for a reply. There was no message sitting there, marked as read. You were alone the way a person is alone in nature, totally, cleanly, owing nothing to anyone. That kind of alone barely exists anymore. Now, when you're alone, people can still reach you. The phone is still there. The messages are still arriving. Being alone today means actively ignoring people who are trying to get to you, which is a completely different thing from being unreachable. You used to be able to disappear. Now you can only hide. And hiding has guilt baked into it. There's something you're evading. Someone's waiting. The aloneness isn't clean anymore. It's stolen. We didn't lose it all at once. We lost it in stages, and each stage felt like an upgrade. First came the cell phone. Now people could reach you when you were out, which was useful. You could call for help, coordinate, say you'd be late, but something small shifted. Leaving the house no longer meant being gone. You carried a thread back to everyone in your pocket. Then came the smartphone. Now you could be reached anywhere, by anyone, through a dozen channels at once. Calls, texts, emails, DMs, apps. The thread became a net. There was no longer any out of reach. There was just reach everywhere, always. Then came location sharing. Now people didn't just reach you, they could see you. A little dot on a map, moving in real time. Your partner, your family, your friends could open an app and watch where you were. We told ourselves it was for safety. And it was, partly, but it meant the last scrap of unfindability was gone. You were a dot now, always visible. And then, the smallest one, the one nobody talks about, read receipts. Seen. Now you couldn't even pretend you hadn't gotten the message. It was marked read, time-stamped, and your silence after that wasn't absence anymore. It was a choice, and everyone could see you making it. Each step removed a little more of the space where you used to be unreachable, and by the end of it, there was none left. You are now reachable, trackable, and accountable, every hour of every day. We did this to ourselves, one convenient feature at a time. Here's what it's like to never be unreachable. You're never fully off. Even when you're not using your phone, part of you is still on call, still half listening for the buzz, still aware that messages are arriving, that people can see you, that the moment you look, you'll find three things that need a response. You're never fully alone with yourself, because the world has a permanent open line to you, and you can feel it humming, even when you're trying to ignore it. Being unreachable used to be the default. It was the natural state of a person who'd left the house. You had to make an effort to be reachable, find a payphone, get to a landline. Now it's flipped. Being reachable is the default, and being unreachable is something you have to fight for. You have to turn things off, leave the phone behind, actively disconnect, and even then, you feel the guilt of it, the nagging sense that you're being slightly irresponsible, that someone might need you and you've made yourself unavailable. Solitude used to be free. Now it costs you a refusal. Every hour you spend truly alone is an hour you spend ignoring people who could reach you. The solitude has guilt in it now. The disappearing has become hiding, and there's a generation growing up that has never once, not for a single afternoon, felt the clean, total, innocent aloneness of being a person nobody on earth can find. Now, I want to be fair. Being reachable saves lives. The kid whose car breaks down at night can call home. The parent can reach a child in trouble. The person having an emergency gets help in seconds instead of minutes that could cost everything. People separated by oceans stay in each other's daily lives. Someone alone and struggling at 3 a.m. can reach another human being instead of sitting in the dark by themselves. That's real. That matters. Some of the unreachability we lost was genuinely dangerous, and we're safer without it. But here's the trade we actually made. We wanted to be reachable for the emergencies, and we accidentally made ourselves reachable for everything, forever, with no off switch. We built the open line for the 3 a.m. crisis, and then the line stayed open for the work email, the group chat, the person who's mildly annoyed you haven't replied, the endless low hum of everyone being able to get to you at all times for any reason. We couldn't keep the safety without the surveillance. They came in the same box, and we opened it, and we can't close it now. So here's what I want you to do. Sometime soon, make yourself unreachable, on purpose, for a few hours. Leave the phone at home, not in your pocket on silent, at home. Then go somewhere, a walk, a drive, a park, anywhere. And for those few hours, be a person nobody on earth can find. It's going to feel wrong. You'll reach for a phone that isn't there. You'll feel a flicker of anxiety. What if someone needs me that you haven't had to sit with in years? Sit with it. And somewhere in those hours, something old is going to come back. A feeling you might not have had since you were a teenager. The feeling of being off the map, unwatched, unreachable, belonging for a little while, only to yourself. That feeling isn't gone. It's just buried under a decade of convenient features that each took a little more of it. You're allowed to disappear sometimes. You used to do it every day without thinking. You can still do it. You just have to choose it now. When's the last time you were truly unreachable? Where were you? What were you doing? Drop it in the comments. For some of you, it's going to take a minute to even remember a time nobody could find you. That's the whole point.